Hi, Kesha here of New World Mind and Spirit, and thank you for joining me today for video 2 in our 3-part series, Freedom Over Fear. So I am a certified consulting hypnotist and intuitive consultant if you're joining me for the first time, and it is my goal to help you learn to change your life and also to manifest your desires through the power of your own mind. So thank you so much for joining me today. So in this continuing video series, this second video, we're again talking about fear. And it is, of course, we're getting close to Halloween, and Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year. And Halloween is all about fear, and it's all about being scared. But of course, it's more than fun and games. When it's not so fun, it can really be horrific, and it can really be just weighing heavy on us, and fear can get in the way of everything that we want. Fear often is what lies between where we're at right now and what we desire. And so it is very important to really talk about it, talk about ways to manage it and move through it. So in the first video, and if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out, we talked about the origins of fear itself, as it is a gift from our ancestors, and how it is designed to keep us safe. However, it can often get in our way and cease to be something helpful and instead become something that's more of a liability. In today's video, we're going to talk about fear and how it gets really crystallized in us really early in childhood, and how oftentimes when something happens and we don't deal with it head on, it tends to seep in. Okay, so the first thing you have to learn as well is there are very few fears that you're actually born with. So even though fear, the concept of fear itself is something that you will arrive in this world with some of, most fears actually turn up because they are a learned trait. We usually learn to fear things from experiences, especially experiences that happen early on in life, in our childhood, and we also learn to fear things from other people. It is very much a social phenomenon as well. And when you are very young, you are constantly making little snapshot the choices and decisions based on what you're experiencing. And of course, when you're very young, you don't really have the intellectual equipment fully there yet to truly be correct in the decisions that you're making. So oftentimes when something happens that frightens us, we tend to keep that decision and keep that judgment as this is now something that we should be fearful of. You know, for example, people that grow up with a fear of all sorts of things, of water, of spiders, of dogs, of cats, you know, of getting lost. Oftentimes, these are fears that come from a single incident that has happened in their childhood. And because that incident and that judgment they made about that thing that scared them was never challenged, it tends to be crystallized and solidified in their life. And again, if it's not dealt with or challenged or revisited, it tends to just harden in there, and they go through life into adulthood with this fear of water, a fear of cats, dogs, etc. So oftentimes, you know, we are afraid of things, but the things we're afraid of, we actually made incorrect judgments. Like, for example, returning to fear of cats, because a cat bit you or scratched you when you're young, that's not a reflection of all cats, but that definitely could turn into a fear of all cats based on that one experience. So one thing that is very important to realize is if you do have a fear that is kind of holding you back in adulthood, it is really important to see where you can trace back where you learned it, where the first conscious memory that you can think of that triggered and caused that fear, and to revisit it and to readdress it. And this is something that we can definitely do as hypnotists. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely reach out to me. You'll have my contact information below. I can be found Kesha at newworldtarot.org. But even on your own, this is something that you can do on your own. You can certainly, you know, pick up a journal and just kind of really think about and journal on that first incident that you can remember that might have triggered your fear. And it's important to to really in the light of day and with more mature eyes to explore it and ask, what's the truth of the situation? Should you truly be afraid of everything, all cats, all water based on this one incident? Or is there a bigger truth that is going to give you more power? So that's a definite good question to ask. And it is also important to know that fears often have more to do with imagination than with reality. And fears, again, tend to grow and increase the more we kind of vividly run the triggering scenario through our minds. Like, for example, let's say you were called up to give a speech, one day, and out of the blue, and it didn't go well, and you just kind of started sweating, and you started freaking out, and now, you have a fear of public speaking. And the more you think about that incident that happened, the more it's actually going to be played up in your imagination. What you'll tend to feel is that the incident lasted longer than it actually did. You'll tend to add details like you saw someone laughing when they really didn't. And the more you play this over and over in your mind, and the more you're finding that it's actually going to build into a heightened fear, which will tend to, again, increase your fear of public speaking over time. So it's important to really catch yourself when you're replaying a triggering event over and over, and asking yourself, are there details that I'm embellishing, that I'm making up? And instead of using your imagination to replay it in the horrific manner, you can also use that same wonderful imagination of yours to replay that incident in a more empowering light. To really imagine yourself doing a public speaking job and having everything go right. Because you are just as likely to have everything go extremely well than you are for everything to go worse. And in fact, you're probably more statistically likely to have everything go well for you instead of going badly. So that is also something that I can help you as well as a hypnotist. And another thing to remember is fear is also more closely tied to discomfort than to reality. And again, fear tends to kick in whenever we are outside of our comfort zone. And fear tends to really flare up whenever we are doing something that is unknown and doing something that we've never done before, or doing something that we haven't done in a long time. And again, it just tends to just trigger a lot of images in your mind that may not necessarily be true. Okay? So again, just know that your imagination has a lot to do with fears that are holding you back. And oftentimes there's a lot of distortion that's happening. So I definitely encourage you to revisit things, that triggering events that may have occurred in your childhood, and to really ask questions and really seek out the truth of the matter for yourself. Okay? And definitely I encourage you to reach out to me as well. I am a hypnotist. I am definitely an expert in the conscious and subconscious mind. And I ask that you just please, reach out if you have any questions. You certainly can reach out to me. I will give you a free consultation to figure out how I can help you. So thank you so much for joining me today. And in the next video, the final video, video number 3 in the series, we're going to talk about more actionable ways to really choose freedom over fear, and how you can really manage fear in your life and just kind of push through and still manage to stay on track for your goals anyway. So thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you next time in the last video. Take care.